Guys, welcome. It's Sarah Colata at Architecture Talk Tank. Today I have Ray Brown with me. Ray Brown is one of the speakers at the Architects Success Forum, which is happening next week, September 21st to 25th. And his panel is going to be called Changing Mindset in Architecture. And it's on the 21st of September, 8 a.m. Australia time. So guys, if you're interested and you're tuning in from different parts of the world, just check what time is that for you, obviously, because some of my audience is in Europe, some in America. So just check what time is 8 a.m. Australian time for you. But Changing Mindset in Architecture, Ray Brown. Ray, thank you so much for joining me today on this talk.
My pleasure. Been looking forward to it.
Excellent. Let's just start by finding out a little bit more about you. Tell us about who you are and your past and what brought you to, doing the work that you do, which is helping architects grow their businesses and, see a different perspective that can result in success for them.
Well, I had a long career in Scotland. Although I live in Australia, I'm Scottish. I started my business career in South Africa, and then I built a number of businesses in Scotland. The last business was selling water coolers into offices and schools. We sold that business in 2004. I took my business and my family to Australia, and I became a business coach. I was invited to join a company in Melbourne, and over 7 years I was taught how to coach businesses and management teams and given a lot of really exciting and interesting frameworks. For the last 9 years, I've been doing that on my own, and for the last 5 years, focusing on architects. And the reason I was attracted to architects was, one, they were usually quite nice people. Two, they were quite receptive to training and learning. And I think most importantly, I find that most of them were struggling with just the basics of business. They find themselves with a business with a reasonable turnover and 2 or 3 staff and maybe a couple of business partners, and they really almost hit a brick wall of where to next and how do we fill in the gaps. And I see my role, because I'm not an architect, I'm one of these unusual people that teaches architects, but I'm not an architect myself, which I think is a good thing, because I can be quite blunt and I can be quite challenging of lots of the what I call groupthink in architecture, and some of it's not particularly helpful. So I've developed a program where I call it the snakes and ladders of business. It's the rules of the game, and if nobody tells you the rules of the game, it doesn't matter how simple the game is, you can get lost very quickly, and it can all be a bit of a mystery. So that's what we endeavour to do: keep it simple. Engage with people and, as I say, teach them the basics of business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you're very right that, within architects, our community, we have a certain mindset that we follow that might be limiting. We are very creative and obviously are capable of creating something out of just a mere idea, which very much is what business is about too. But when it comes to business structures, very often we lack the understanding of how things work. And there isn't, so to speak, a standard established within the industry of how people should really navigate through their career. It's very much about, long education, then free practice and kind of climbing the ladder. But no one ever tells you really when to take the strategic move to grow or to potentially maybe even take a more risky decision for your business, but actually with a focus of, succeeding or growing. And so I think that the mindset aspect of things that you've mentioned is very important. What sort of limiting beliefs do you find to be present in the architects community that you, from your perspective and also experience, feel that do not serve us as architects in business?
Well, maybe if I tell you a story, a couple of years ago, I spoke as part of a panel in a architects conference. There were 200 architects practices. They're mostly small practices, most of them struggling, I suspect, because it's that type of organization. And I was there to represent the sort of business side of architecture. And at one point, one of the panel members took the microphone and he spoke to the group and said, what you people need to remember is that we're not an industry, we're not a business, we're a profession. And it really came as a big shock to me that somebody would say that to these people, because I don't think that's a good message. I think one thing, I think it's particularly arrogant. I think it's very demeaning to other professions, health professionals, accountants, lawyers. I find lots of people in other professions are equally passionate as architects, but architects somehow have been taught to believe that they're a little bit different. And there's a whole lot of these limiting beliefs that go through architecture. Things like, if you do good architecture, that will automatically lead to a good business. We need to do good architecture, then the phone will ring and we'll win awards and people will come and buy from us. And it doesn't work like that. You need to, like every other business, you need to go out and find clients, and you need to convince them to work with you and to choose you over other people that could do the same job. Another limiting belief is that architects don't make money. Okay, we have to work really hard, but we never make any money. And I find that really painful as well. If you're in business, you should be paid what I would call rate for the job. You should be paid what you would be paid to do your job in any commercial practice. And you should also make profit to give you a return for your risk and your investment and the time and effort you've put into building a business and employ people. So that's a limiting belief to architects don't make money. Another one is architecture is different. Our industry is harder than other industries. And it used to be quite hard for me to explain to people that was also false. But now I just say to them, would you rather be in the cruise industry, or would you be in the airline industry or the hospitality industry right now?
Yeah.
Most of my architect clients, well, all of them actually, are very busy at the moment, and lots of work and inquiries coming in. So they've actually stopped telling me that architecture is harder than other industries, because it's just not true.
Yeah. And really, it can become a personal mantra if you keep repeating it to yourself. So hence the limit there. But quite interesting how you said that, good design makes good business. I can very much relate to that. I see that happen over and over again. And I kind of feel like we're led to believe that already at the university level when we're very, very young, just at the beginning of our career. And I feel that all these things that you mentioned, awards, competitions won, some kind of titles that you get along the way for your achievements are actually only rewarded within our own circle of architects. So it's not like, any client out there, I mean, I doubt that it's a big percentage of clients will go on to, checking a title of an architect and then going down the list of architects that got that title and actually wanting to hire them. I don't think that's really a strategy that any client will take in order to find a right person to build them the project that they're looking for. So we are putting all our energy to get these competitions and to get these titles, but actually the only people we're positioning ourselves with these titles are other architects. And I think similar with publications as well. We publish in design magazines that are read by designers and architects, but not so often by our clients. Because if you think about it, a lot of times the reason why a client hires an architect is because you don't know anything about architecture. So they need a specialist on that. And, all those things are just kind of things that maybe they've been so normalized that we don't really think about it per se in the process. And then only, when you put it in a context, it's like, very interesting.
And you only have to look at architect websites to see how architects think. One of my clients, had a client for 5 years, and they've redone their website in the last month, and they sent me the first draft, and I opened up the homepage, and it was one building, one home, no words, one home. And to be honest, I didn't like the design personally. You have a very polarizing homepage that tells you nothing. It doesn't tell you who they are, how to get in touch with them, what makes them different, just that one building. And that may appeal to other architects, and it may be very clean and this is the type of work we want to do. But in terms of using your website to attract clients and to tell your story, it was pathetic and appalling. So of course, I went back and told them that and gave them the direct feedback, which wasn't particularly well received. But fortunately, there were some marketing people around who said exactly the same thing. Don't sell to other architects, sell to your target market.
Yeah.
And I think it's common sense in a lot of cases. But architects are, I say they're collegiate to their own detriment. Okay, so they speak to one another and they speak about their problems and the industry and how difficult clients are to deal with. Architects need to speak to people out with architecture. They need to speak to people who've got business issues and business solutions that they can use, and bring something different, differentiate themselves, not be the same as everyone else. Yeah, so I was just going to say, if you want a key limiting belief, is that the world knows what architects do. That's a belief of architects. And when we started Archibiz, we put 14 architects around the table in a nice restaurant when we were testing out the thoughts. And we said, we had a few questions already for the evening to keep the conversation going. And we started at 7:30. And the first question was, so what is the value of architecture? And we were still going with that same question when we were thrown out of the restaurant at 10:30, because there was no real solid
answer to it.
So that people could agree on. It was, and that, I mean, that makes a profession really difficult to market and sell.
Yeah. Yeah, and something that I'm realizing right now as well, and I work with a friend of mine, Simone de Gaulle. She's actually with the RIBA, and we started this project called The Value of an Architect. It's very curious to realize that it's not only that architects themselves don't realize the value, but then also the general public a lot of times struggles with understanding the value of an architect, and they often think that it's just, oh, I hire you just to do a couple of drawings, why is it taking you so long, or why are you charging me so much? And those are common problems that just aggravate architects. But why do you ever think those issues emerge? It's because of an issue with communication and really putting your value forward and communicating that value to your clients. And if we don't understand what our value is really, and we're not clear on it, then how can the clients really ever see that? So I think that then.
Yeah, we run a webinar called it was the 5 pillars of value. Now it's the 6 pillars of value, and that at least gives some indication to architects as to how they can have conversations about value that doesn't always look like just the outcome. We can build you a house that looks like this. That's only a very small part of the story. And I think architects as a group have a tendency to blame the client or the market for not understanding what they do. And I think that's such a short-sighted and, well, I think it's arrogance again. It's an arrogant approach that you would blame your client for not understanding what you do, because they're the ones with the money, you're the ones with the service, and you want to exchange your value for their money. And that you've got to understand that process and understand the value exchange, and you can't blame the client for not understanding your value.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, and analogically, if you wanted someone to cook you a dinner or maybe make you a suit, you wouldn't be expected to know exactly the ingredients or how to tailor a suit. You just hire someone to do it, and you want to trust them. But simultaneously, you want to make sure that they actually are good at what they're doing. They can cook, they have a good taste, or a style, and so you have categories that you look through as you're hiring that specialist. And same goes to you as an architect. So it's really important to remember that and put yourself in the shoes of the client, which I think architects very often miss that point, basically.
Absolutely. And the other part of the education process that we provide for architects is to tell them that all clients are not the same. Right? The message that will resonate with one group of clients will be completely a waste of time with other clients. Some clients will like detail and data, and the next client will want stories and color and emotion. And you need to understand that difference. And then there are other people who are very commercial and just want to cut to the chase. They just want, how much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take? And I'm not interested in any of the detail. But those are three different types of client that need three different approaches.
Mm.
And if you try and use a one sort of one size fits all, you are going to come up against clients who don't resonate with how you describe what you do and how you build a relationship with them.
Exactly, exactly. So Ray, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your training program. I imagine that it's not just focused around mindset, even though mindset is a very powerful way to change the way you do business and actually open up to success. But what other things does it include, and what
Well,
other things are important for architects to think about when they're thinking about growth and development of their business?
yeah, yeah. So we do speak about mindset shift in the beginning. That's and just to get and that resonates with people and gets the juices flowing, if you like. And then we speak about vision, which is a big part. And it's really interesting that architects are very poor at vision for their own practice. And I sometimes say to my new clients, "Can you show me the drawings for your practice? You know, what does it look like when it's finished?" And they look, blank, and because then the penny drops and they think, okay, maybe I do need a vision for my practice. And so we speak about vision, we speak about structure as a business. How do you structure a business to often architects become very tied up with the practice themselves, and there's not much difference between the practice and the two partners who run it, and that's very constraining, and it's hard to scale. So we speak to people about structuring that. We speak about allocating work and hiring people. So how do you get the right people into the job? How do you make sure that the work is done by the right resource, so that we don't have people who are too expensive doing too low grade work? So we speak to them about that. We speak about selling. Interestingly, we speak about selling before we speak about marketing. Okay, so how do you actually convince somebody to come and buy from you as opposed to someone else? How do you have that conversation? And so some basic selling skills we teach, and then we do marketing. So marketing brings in the people, selling converts the people, if you like. And architects hate to speak about sales, but then so do most other professions. But how we describe it is we say that selling is matching up your solution with someone's problem. And once architects get the view of selling like that, yeah, we've got a solution. It's probably a better solution than most others. We just need to understand how to match up our solution with someone's problem. So sales and then marketing. We then look at finance, and we really simplify the operation of the business. We call it your business scorecard. So knowing how you're progressing. Imagine playing a game without having any scoring system, whether that be soccer or tennis or any Aussie rules even. And it would just be someone hitting a ball or kicking a ball. And some architectural practices are a bit like that. We just keep working hard and hope it's all going to work out. We might check the bank account once a month and hope we've got enough money to pay next month's bills. We need some more financial astuteness, and we need architects to be forward thinking, using the financial information, not historically based. How did we do last year? We want to know, how can we make next year better? How can we make sure we make profit next year and pay good wages? And how much work do we need to cover those type of costs? And then we spend a fair bit of time about implementation. How do we take all of these things that we've learned in the 7 modules, and how do we implement that in a way that really makes a difference, rather than like so many courses, you do the course, you kind of forget about that. It's really quite interesting at the time, but if you went back in a year's time and said, what impact did that have on your practice? Typically very little. So we do spend a lot of time on showing people how to make improvements in the business whilst keeping the business going. That's the skill. You've got to be able to identify the improvement opportunities, and then put a team together, have some sort of system, and then deliver that improvement and show the results of the initiative that you've done, because then that energizes the next improvement that you make in the business. So none of that is taught to architects, and we try and fill that gap. And then what we find is most of the architects we deal with want to continue working with us and getting some sort of support moving forward. So that's, we're in a very fortunate position that we've got plenty of clients and plenty of people want to work with us on the back of the program that we run.
That's excellent. And I know that the program kind of has a focus of really giving that personal touch as well throughout the process. So you're actually not, it's not open to sign up all the time. It's only twice a year, I believe, that you run the program. So if people are interested in this, do they sign up for a mailing list or to follow you,
Yep.
so that they can know when is the next round
Yep.
of?
Go to archibiz.com.au. We do run the pre-recorded self-study program twice a year, but we also run twice a year live programs where we take between 8 and 10 architects and we take them through the 8 weeks as a group on Zoom. And we are starting one of those in October. So I think the landing page goes up next week, just before the conference. So if people are interested in that, they can send me an email, ray@archibiz.com.au, and I'll do a Skype call with them or a Zoom call and see if what we've got is what they need.
Excellent, excellent. So guys, I'm going to put the website as well as Ray's email at the bottom of this video, so you can reach out straight from here, from this video. And just go and check out the website as well. It's so important to be investing in yourself and your business. And just like I mentioned, and the other conversations with experts, you don't have to do everything at once. Just take little steps towards bettering your business, and with time it will all accumulate, and you will learn strategies that will really improve the way that you do business and also your profitability. It might be overwhelming just because the topic of business and marketing is big, and obviously as architects we don't really study it or have much of a background in it, but just even starting small, joining a group like this, a training, can be really good for you, and with time, you know, you'll get better and better with this.
Yeah,
so Ray, tell me a little bit more just before we go about the panel that you have, Changing Mindset.
Try to distill what it is that architects really want. Okay, so many business people make a bad habit of giving people what they need and not really what they want. And we've been guilty of that in the past, but I think we've distilled what architects want, and I think that's certainty. They want more certainty in their business, and they want 3 particular types of certainty. They want certainty of workflow, so they want the right kind of work at the right time arriving in the practice. They want certainty of income, so they want to make money from the work that they do, and certainty of impact. So they want to be doing work that they're proud of, that they can drive past and say, no, I designed that building and I had a part to play in that. Those 3 things are what they want. Unfortunately, we can't wave a magic wand and deliver those. So we've got to come back to what are the issues that deliver that certainty? What are the mindsets that really need to change? And there are really only 2 places that businesses can work. One is systems and processes. So improving systems and processes, which we do a lot of work on, but not in this talk, and mindset. So helping people just to understand some of the changes that we've already spoken about, how they need to be thinking different. How do they explain their story to people? How do they get a mindset that says, I'm an architect is not enough. I need to be an architect who is in business and who can tell my particular story. What is my story? And how do I convey that to a potential client? And having a mindset of sales, having a mindset of marketing, having a mindset of differentiation, having a mindset of setting it, not always wanting to be part of the crowd of architects, but wanting to be a little bit different. Why would people choose me from 5 architects that they could use to do the same project? Understand the mindsets that drive that process from the client's perspective. So those are really the mindset. We've only got I think it's 45 minutes next week, but we'll try and push in as much as we can during the 45 minutes. And we've got some quite good analogies that we use. I won't spoil the surprise by telling you those at the minute, but we've got a lot. We like to get to people. We like to get people to think, and we find that architects are very visual. So a lot of our material is it's visual rather than text based. So we put a visual up, and I speak across the visual, and hopefully that makes an impact and resonates with architects.
Absolutely. So, guys, if you're interested to hear Ray Brown speak about changing mindset in architecture, 21st of September, 8 a.m. Australian time. Check what time is that in your country where you're at, from where you're tuning in. 8 a.m. Australian time, 21st of September. Ray, thank you so very much for joining me at this talk, and I'm looking forward to see you at the event next week.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And I look forward to speaking to you again.
Excellent. Absolutely. Thank you.